Jesus has many wonderful things he wants to teach us, all of which we find in the Bible. After Leo inherited his grandfather's old Bible, do you think he and his friends want to find out more about what is in this book? Can they find something here that can help them too, as Grandpa experienced?
Hi, have you started already? I didn't want to leave school until my big sister was ready to come with me.
You just made it. We weren't going to begin without you.
Now we are going to spin the Wheel of Fortune.
I think it will be yellow.
I bet it will be blue.
Thanks.
There you go.
And it's page 1364.
Something is underlined here.
Yes, it's written here. Do not be anxious about anything, but bring everything on your heart to God. Pray and call on him with thanksgiving.
There were several words I didn't understand.
Don't be anxious. Does it mean to not be afraid?
What else was there? Bring everything on your heart to God. Pray and call on him with thanksgiving.
You're quite right. Not to be anxious is the same as not being afraid of what is going to happen or how to get something done. Everything that I have in my heart, what I think about, I can tell God and Jesus about. Then we do not have to worry about things. We trust Jesus that everything will turn out well. Jesus loves to help us. The Bible is full of stories of people who have asked God for help and received it. Now you're going to hear the story of a very special lady. Her name is Esther. In a country called Persia, there once lived a king. He wanted a beautiful queen. It was therefore decided that all the most beautiful young women in the country should be sent to the castle. Then the king could choose a wife. In the castle, where the beautiful women were to live, a man named Mordecai worked. He was a Jew, but had come to the country as a prisoner of war. He worked in the castle, and he was a good man. Mordecai had a young cousin who became an orphan as a child. She was named Esther and had grown up with Mordecai. He was very fond of her and treated her like a daughter. Now Esther had become a young and very beautiful woman, and she was one of those who moved into the castle so that the king could meet her. Before she left, Mordecai asked Esther not to tell anyone that she was a Jew. In Persia, it was dangerous to say you were a Jew, and Mordecai didn't want Esther to be hurt. Esther had become a wise lady, and she did not reveal to anyone that she was a Jew. There were a lot of new things she had to learn in the castle, and she could easily have been scared of what awaited her. But Esther believed in God and knew that she could pray to him for help and advice. The ladies of the castle were to visit the king one by one. When it was Esther's turn, she was dressed in the finest clothes, and she was amazingly beautiful when she went in to see the king. He immediately fell in love with her, and soon after, he chose her to be queen. Becoming a queen was a great task and honor, but it was also a little scary, because a queen always had to behave just right, or else she could be punished. It was the king who had all the power. Many important people worked in the castle. The most important of them was a man named Haman. He had a lot of power, and the king relied heavily on him. The others in the castle and in the palace where Esther had lived were probably a little afraid of Haman. No one would speak to him, and if he passed them, they would bow as deeply as they could. Haman passed by where Mordecai worked. Since Mordecai was a Jew, he believed in God and would not therefore bow to Haman as if Haman were a god. Haman immediately noticed this and became very angry. In fact, he became so angry that he decided to punish Mordecai. But he decided he would not just punish Mordecai, but all Jews throughout Persia. So he made a plan to get the king to kill all the Jews throughout the great kingdom. He went in to see the king and said, "In your kingdom live a people who keep to themselves. They have other laws than all other peoples, and they do not obey the king's laws." Haman made the king believe that the Jews did not obey the laws of the land and that they would cause trouble. Kings could not accept such a thing at that time. The king therefore wrote a law that all the Jews in the kingdom should be killed, and that it should happen on a certain day quite soon. When Mordecai heard this news, he was completely distraught. The other Jews also heard about it, and everyone cried and prayed to God. Soon Queen Esther also heard about it. She sent her servant to talk to Mordecai, and Mordecai asked the servant to tell the queen that she had to go to the king and ask for mercy for the Jews. "No, I can't," Esther said. "Everyone knows that if anyone enters the king's rooms without being invited, then they're killed, even the queen. Only if the king reaches out his golden rod do you get to live." But Mordecai pleaded with Esther again, saying, "If you do not go into the king, you will have to die anyway, for all Jews will be killed, and you are also a Jew. Maybe you became queen just for this moment, to save your people." Then Esther realized that she had to be brave. Maybe God would use her to save the Jews. She asked Mordecai to gather all the Jews in the city, and that for 3 days and nights they should pray to God that he would save them and let them live. Esther would do the same in the castle. Then after 3 days, she would go in to see the king. On the 3rd day, Esther put on her finest clothes. Then she went to the king's castle. Maybe the king would get angry, maybe not. Now she had prayed to God for 3 days, and she knew that God was with her and would help her. She continued to walk until she stood before the king's throne. She waited. The king smiled at her and held out his gold rod. Esther came forward and touched the staff. She was allowed to live. In the days that followed, Queen Esther met the king several times, and finally she explained to the king what misfortune the Jews had come to, and that she too could be killed because of the law Haman had made the king decide. The king was completely horrified. He had no idea what he had done. He asked Esther for help in making a new law, a law that saved the Jews. The vicious Haman received the most severe punishment, and Mordecai was hired as the king's chief servant. The fact that Queen Esther prayed to God was what gave her strength to save her people.
She was so brave.
Or maybe she wasn't really that brave by personality, but she prayed to God and he made her brave. And then God saved them. It's amazing. We never have to be afraid. We can pray about absolutely everything.